Hello, my name is Sasha, and I will be talking about an alternative educational model, charter schools to be specific. There are there are many different alternative educational models, private schools, public schools, um, homeschooling, distance learning, Montessori schools, um, charter schools. So I will be talking about charter schools today. So what are charter schools? Sorry. Charter schools are public schools. Some people may know what charter schools are, some people may not. If some people don't even know how charter schools work, they sound like they are private schools. Honestly, I thought they were private schools, but they are public schools. They are just independently ran. So the first mention of charter schools was by a professor at the University of Massachusetts, and his name was Ray Budd in 1974. So he was the first person to mention charter schools, but they were still not like nobody took an initiative to start making a charter school or trying to open up a charter school yet. So what are charter schools? So like I said, charter schools are publicly funded but independently run or operated schools. Um, they are different from traditional public schools. So traditional public schools have to follow a certain curriculum. And like with public schools, they have to follow a curriculum within that same district. So where there's a building over here and a building down the street, like, and they're both a part of the same public school district, they will both still have the same curriculum. But with charter schools, that's not how it goes. So with charter schools, each charter school has a different curriculum. Not all charter schools have the same curriculum, but charter schools must meet specific performance standards like state tests. Charter schools still must have students taking the state test. So yeah, they're publicly funded, privately managed, independently operated. So yeah, charter schools. So like I said, Ray Budd in 1974 mentioned the charter schools, but then in 1988, Albert Shanker had kind of like echoed what Ray Budd had said, like brought the subject back up. And Albert Shanker was he was the president of the American Federation of Teachers. So he visited a school in Germany and he was happy with what he saw over there. So he brought his ideas back to the United States. And when he shared his ideas, he basically spoke about what he envisioned. He envisioned that a group of teachers or parents with teachers would come up with a different curriculum that did not follow traditional public schools, and they would use this curriculum that would help the students academically. So the first time that they allowed, like a law passed for a charter school to be able to open was in Minnesota in 1991. So in 1991, there was the first law that the lawmakers said, yes, it is okay to um, open up charter schools. And then the first charter school was opened in 1992 in Minnesota as well. By 1999, there were 1,700 charter schools open. So in less than 10 years, that is a lot of charter schools open. Um, so right now, there are currently 17 charter schools in Rochester, New York, with an enrollment of 8,511 students, to be exact. Um, so right now, Rochester has 17 charter schools, but there are 23 in Buffalo, which is not too far from us. There are 280 of them in New York City, including Long Island. There are 10 in Albany, 4 in downstate, 8 in the central New York. In the entire New York state, there are 182,500 students enrolled in charter schools. And charter schools also um, um, sorry, students with disabilities can also be enrolled in charter schools. So charter schools, they don't discriminate against, you know, special ed or gen ed. Like both kind of students can enroll in there. And they do not discriminate of where you are from, who you are, anything like that. So right now there are 94% students of color that are in charter schools. Yeah, they do not discriminate what kind of learning disability you have or who you are, where you're from, any of that. Everybody is welcome into a charter school. So key features of charter schools, the good thing about charter schools is that everybody is involved, like parents, teachers, and administrators. Everybody has a say in the student academics. The good thing about that is with parents can advocate for their child. So if a parent they're doing homework with their child every night and they see that their student is not understanding the type of math that is going on or the reading, you know what I mean? Like just an example. If it's, the parent is seeing that their student does not get it, then they are able to advocate for their child. They're able to talk, speak up and tell the teacher, like, hey, this is not working. What can we do to help my child understand this lesson? And the teacher will, take the parents' input and go ahead and help that student. If let's say the student's name is Sammy and Sammy does not understand things unless they are visuals. So let's say he's got to read something and Sammy's not getting it. And his mom sees that. So mom reaches out to the teachers and the teacher is, telling the teacher like, hey, little Sammy is not understanding these, but I do see that when you send things that have pictures with this, Sammy starts to understand it. So the teachers and the administrators, they can help Sammy, just because the mom was able to speak up. And that helps the student a lot as well. Like that helps the student want, if he sees his parents are helping, his teachers, his administrators, all of these adults and people around him are advocating for him and trying to help. That helps the student succeed more. That helps the student see, like, wow, these are all these people around me that care about me and want to see me learn. So that's the good thing about that. So parents do have a say in what um, you know, with their students' academics, basically. So yes, the charter schools must still meet state academic standards and testing requirements. So even though their curriculum is different and everything, and they might go about teaching lessons very different than a traditional public school, whatever they're teaching or however they're teaching actually, it must still help that student learn the things that are, they will be tested on still. So they specialize in specific teaching approaches or subjects. Um, Teachers must have state required credentials. So we live in the New York State, and teachers in New York State must be certified with a teaching degree with a bachelor's at first, and then within 5 years, of course, with their masters. So in charter schools, teachers still must have their state required credentials. They still must be certified. I mean, they can't go and teach your student if they themselves don't know. They must learn it first and then teach them. And another key thing in charter schools is their class size. So the class size in charter schools are much smaller. In public schools, you might see a gen ed class of 20 to 25 kids. In charter schools, you may see half of those many students in a class. And it's a key feature because it allows the student to get more attention from the teacher or more hands-on learning, whatever the student requires. You know what I mean? Like if the student, if the class, I should say, is smaller than the student is able to get his questions answered. If in a class full of like 20 to 25 kids in a public school, the students have a harder time trying to reach out to the teacher. Like let's say the teacher is an example again. The teacher is doing a lesson in front of the school, and she maybe has like 45 minutes to teach us this math lesson, let's just say. And she turns around to ask questions or answer questions, and you can't get to each student's questions though. So a class size of half of what a public school may have in a charter school is going to help those students, academically better. If it's maybe, let's say, like 12 students in a class, 12 to 15 students in a class, and the teacher is teaching a lesson, and they need to, ask the kids questions, because mentally the teachers are also taking notes on what these kids know or what they're understanding by asking these questions to the kids. And she might be able to actually get to half of those kids. Let's say 8 of those kids or something within those 45 minutes. She may be able to answer their questions. So that is another good thing about charter schools is the class size. They're smaller. Charter school agreement. So those charter schools operate under a charter, a performance contract. They have a certain contract that they have to sign and agree by. They have a detailed academic goals, operational guidelines, and accountability measures. They are accountable for their charter school. And charter schools can be revoked if schools don't meet standards. Let's say the students take their standard test and it doesn't show that they are growing academically or anything, or that they have, their scores have not increased or anything like that. That shows poorly on the charter school. So they, if it's consistent, they can probably be shut down. But yeah. Admission and access. So getting into a charter school. So charter schools, like I said, they do not discriminate about who you are, what you're learning, or anything like that. They accept everybody. So they are open to all students within the district boundaries. They they also they don't have a sorry, they don't have a lottery system unless they're at capacity. So unless there's like every single class is at capacity, but one class may, have an opening for two students, and then they will do a lottery system where they'll pick two kids' names, not just the next two people that sign up or something. So yeah, they do not discriminate based on academic ability or background. Like I said, they accept special ed they have special ed as well, and they provide special educational services as well. So physical therapy, occupational therapy, speech therapy, whatever the kid needs, they, help the student. Another thing about the admissions, so another thing about them is you don't have to live within that neighborhood of the charter in order to attend it. Like with public schools, you must go, like when you sign up for public schools, you must go within the school that's, in around or something like that. But with charter schools, you it doesn't matter where you live, what your zip code is, or anything like that. You can still go, and they're free. So it's not like you need to pay to go to the school. So this is everything that the schools provide and help with. They help with autism, biliteracy, computer engineering, computer science, dyslexia and literacy, acquisition law and social justice, military preparation, music and performing arts, overage and undercredited, STEM, STEAM, math, science, social studies, and language arts. Oh, sorry. Innovations in teaching. So freedom to try new teaching methods and can adjust curriculum and school schedules, often emphasize specific subjects or approaches. So, like I said, um, charter schools have their own curriculum, right? So let's say that a teacher is going by her certain curriculum, right? And it's not working for Sammy, right? And Sammy's parents reach out and be like, hey, this is not working for Sammy, but I noticed visuals work for Sammy, right? So the teachers and administrators can go and adjust their curriculum to Sammy's needs or anybody else. I'm just using the name Sammy as an example of a student. But so yeah, the teacher can go ahead and adjust anything. Let's say they're giving Sammy a reading lesson every night to go home and do homework with, but his mom notices that Sammy's not understanding, or Sammy just drifts off a little while he's reading, and he forgets after mom says, okay, what did you read about? What was the story about? And he's like, I can't remember, I started thinking about breakfast or something like that. But then when Sammy does his homework and, he's reading and he sees pictures with it or something, and he's starting to be more engaged in the reading and understanding the lesson. And, that's when mom can reach out, and even the teachers notice, you know what I mean? And then they'll be like, okay, well, I need to start putting visuals in my lessons to help. So they can definitely adjust their curriculum. And their curriculum they're not all the same. All the charter schools don't all have the same curriculum. They often emphasize specific subjects or approaches as well. So the benefits of charter schools, they have personalized approach, collaborative learning, self-directed learning, and personal growth. So personalized approach. So So like my example with Sammy, right? They personalized, well, not they, but hypothetically, they personalized the way to teach Sammy, right? So they helped, you know, turn a curriculum into helping him by just using visuals. They personalize it to that student's needs. So charter schools, they make sure they are going by what the students need. And they're collaborative learning. So collaborative learning, they have group work. They have the kids collaborating with each other and getting feedback from each other, giving feedback to each other. And that is good because, like I said, they have a smaller class size. So the kids are able to have a better experience of collaborating with each other, right? So let's say it's just a public school where they have 20 something students, right? And the kids have to collaborate with each other and go in small groups. Well, sometimes it's hard when you have like 5 different groups in a room, and then this one is being loud, but then this one is goofing around next to you. So when it's a smaller class size and the kids are collaborating together, it helps them better because you might have 5 groups, but at least if you have 5 groups, it's like a group of 2 maybe or something, or 3 kids, right? But um, there is, I don't know, a smaller group, so they help. Self-directed learning. So self-directed learning is student-centered, right? So it's about that one specific student and what their needs are. The student gets to express their opinions and their interests. They get to speak on what they like, what's helping and things like that, or what's not helping and what they don't like about um the things that the way they're teaching them or something like that. And it encourages deeper thinking for the student. They get to think for themselves and be like, have a say so in how they're learning. And that personal growth, the kids, they get to see how far they have come. And let's say Sammy again. Sammy is, he's stuck on this one fraction lesson or something, you know what I mean? And the teacher can go and show him, like, look, Sammy, look how far you came since you've been here, or look at your whole, growth since learning in charter schools. And then they'll show Sammy, like, wow, you went this a long way, but you're stuck right here, and it's okay. And a student seeing that's going to be like, wow, I did do a great job for this and this and this. And oh, wow, I succeeded in this. Oh, dang, I'm stuck right now. But them seeing that, they'll be like, I can do this. I can get over it. I'm going to try harder or something. You know what I mean? So the kids get to see their own personal growth. So the differences between charter schools and public schools. So public schools have district policies and district regulations. Charter schools do not. They do not have state regulations. They are exempt from them. Students, public school students have to go within their district. Like I just said, in charter schools, they do not have to go within their specific district, their neighborhood. You know what I mean? They are allowed to sign up for, whatever charter school they would like to attend. And a standardized curriculum. So with public schools, they may have to follow a standard. So let's say there's a public school over here, and then there's another public school over here, and they're in the same district. Both of those schools have to follow the same curriculum. So both fourth grade classes in those buildings would still be doing the same curriculum. They may not be teaching at the same exact time, because things happen. But charter schools do not have the same curriculum. So even if there's a charter school right here and there's a charter school over there, those 2 charter schools do not follow the same curriculum because the curriculum goes within that school, that one building. It goes by those administrators in that building and those teachers. And charter schools, well, that's why they have flexible curriculum. But then charter schools have specialized programs, but public schools lack them. And charter schools experiment with teaching methods. So like I was saying about with Sammy, right? Like his teacher would experiment with visuals rather than just the words to show Sammy, right? And they can go back to the drawing board, back to their lesson plan and be like, okay, well, I need to switch this, and this, and this. Or I need to do it this way. They get to do things very differently. They don't have to follow a certain way of teaching. Parent and student experience. So, like I was saying, parents have to be involved with the students' curriculum. Sorry, about this. But parents, excuse me, parents and students have an active choice in their education, often smaller school environments, because of course, if the class sizes are smaller, then of course the population of that building of students in that building, sorry, will also be smaller. So their buildings have a smaller amount of students, I would say. You know what I mean? Not saying that they have small buildings or anything. And yes, charter schools expect parents to be involved. How do they, although teachers and administrators are with the students all day and they can see for themselves how the student is learning or how the student is not learning. They still want to know from the parents. You know what I mean? Like they want parents to be involved. The parents should be involved. Parents should be helping their students with homework every night, right? You don't see it a lot though, or it's not expected in a lot of schools. Although teachers may want it, may want it in public schools that say they cannot force parents to really be involved. You know what I mean? Like teachers can just do what they could do and to help the student, but in charter schools, teachers have to be involved. So funding for charter schools versus traditional schools. So with public charter schools, funding looks a lot different because they don't need high-tech security grant programs. They don't need building aid for capital projects, and they don't need a Smart Board Bonds Act, rebuilding schools to learn grant, emergency capital project aid. They just get federal funding, state funding, and local funding. Future trends. So growth in charter school numbers. So like I said, in 1999, right, there were 1,700 schools. Today in New York State alone, there are 180 something thousand students. That's just in one state that are enrolled in charter schools. So it just started in the 90s, but a couple decades later, and look at how far charter schools have gone. And the success of charter schools depends on the people working in that charter school. It depends on the administrators and the teachers in that charter school. Like if they want to see their kids succeed, their students grow academically, it is up to the teachers, and the administrators to, give these students everything that they can, especially since they have the opportunity to, give them all these different teaching methods that they don't have to abide by, like through a public district school. So success depends on that school. So I hope you learned more about charter schools. I tried to answer questions that I thought that I would have, but if you have any more questions, don't hesitate to reach out. Thank you.